different types of vitamins and different companies. And I'm not selling any vitamins and don't want to sell any vitamins. But I think you'd be wise to learn some about it and to take some. There's a great book called Alive and Well about how a doctor in California uses just simply nutrition to treat all sorts of diseases. Many people have healed themselves of various diseases just by changing their diet. George Malcolmus used to be in Edson, Tennessee, now moved to North Carolina. George Malcolmus has a great book called God's Way to Ultimate Health. He used to have people come in, he still does, I guess, gives his diet where people can get cured of some unbelievable diseases. I saw a man a few months ago, I was preaching in Louisiana. The guy walked up to me and I said, "Man, I didn't recognize you. You've lost weight." He said, "Yep, I've lost 50 pounds and I feel better than I've ever felt in my life." I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm on George Malcolmus's diet." I said, "You're kidding." He said, "No, it's all I'm doing. I'm following his diet and I feel the best I've ever felt in my life." So I don't need to lose 50 pounds, maybe a couple, but I haven't tried the diet. But basically he gets rid of certain things out of the diet. You just don't eat certain things, period, because they're bad for you. And you might want to get that book. As far as treating cancer, many people have just changed their diet and healed their cancer, eliminated it totally. The cancer survival rate, as this chart shows, is pretty low for those who take traditional treatment. Those who have primary cancer have about 12% survival rate for surviving 5 years or more if they go with conventional therapy. If they go with nutritional therapy, there's an 80% survival rate. So I think we're treating this disease, cancer, from a totally wrong perspective here in this country. Here they are looking for a way to cut it out or burn it out or blast it out. Or, man, give the body what it needs to rebuild. Give it some nutrition. If your car is low on a product like oil or brake fluid or something else, there'll be a deficiency sign, and then there'll be a full-blown problem if you don't fix it. Your body will give you an early warning sign when you're low in a vitamin. If you don't fix it, it'll give you a disease. If you still don't fix it, you'll die. A lot of people died. 1 million sailors died of scurvy, and it could have been fixed by a vitamin. Now, when somebody says, "I take vitamins," I right away ask them, "What kind do you take?" And they will typically give me the name of a company, One A Day or Fred Flintstone or something like that. I say, no, I don't mean what brand, what kind. Because there are 3 different kinds of food supplements, or vitamins as they're called. There are synthetic vitamins, there are natural vitamins, and there are live vitamins. A good way to explain this is if you wanted to fill up your church for a meeting, you can go to the store and pick out all the mannequins, the dummies, out of the windows, dress them up, bring them to church, set them in the pew. Church is full, and they look real, but they're synthetic. They're fake. They won't tithe. They won't sing. They just help fill the church. Many vitamins that people take that they buy at the store are synthetic. They're fake. They're man's attempt in the laboratory to do what God did in the real world. They're not going to do you much good. The second type of vitamin is natural vitamins. Again, if you want to fill your church, you can go to the mortuary and get 50 bodies and dress them up in suits and set them in the pew. They don't sing, they don't tithe, they just raise a stink after a while. What you have done, though, you have filled your church with 100% natural bodies, but they're dead. A lot of vitamins that people take are 100% natural, but they're dead because of the way they were processed. And it's an easy test you can do at home on your own. Get some corn. If you're going to plant corn in your garden, take the seeds, divide them into 2 piles. Take pile A and cook it. Then go plant it. Take pile B and just plant it. You'll find the seeds from pile A do not grow because they've been destroyed in the cooking. Now, under the microscope, they probably would still look nearly identical. And many people sell natural vitamins that look good under the microscope and come from a natural source, but they killed them in the processing. If you took oranges and squeezed the juice out, put the juice in a bowl and boiled it to get rid of the water, and packed the residue into tablets, you would have 100% natural vitamin C. But it's dead. You killed it when you cooked it. To get vitamins that are still alive or haven't been destroyed in processing is much more expensive. So most of the companies that produce good quality vitamins that really are alive don't even bother selling them through stores because nobody'd buy them. I mean, if you went to the store and saw a bottle of vitamin C for $3 and next to it's a bottle of vitamin C for $5, people who don't take time to understand, maybe the $5 one is still alive. They took the extra care to keep it alive in processing. So I think you'd be wise to understand some of the things about nutrition and vitamins and get the good quality stuff. And I'm not selling anything and don't want to sell anything. But I have for years taken Shaklee vitamins, and I highly recommend them. They are the largest vitamin company in the world, as far as I know the world. I know in America, and they never advertise. They just they produce a quality product that is as close to nature as possible. They do the least amount of processing as possible, and all I can tell you is they work. I take them and I feel good. You need to find out what your body needs, and you can do that by studying deficiency signs. Okay, if you're sick, several steps I would take. If I had a disease or a problem, I would go through several steps. First of all, I would check to see if there's a cause that I can eliminate. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe it's my diet. Maybe it's my attitude. Maybe it's not enough rest. Maybe it's too much stress. I would eliminate all of the possible things that I can understand that I might be doing to cause it. Secondly, if that didn't work, I would pray and say, God, would you please take this away? Just take it away from me, God. Paul was given a thorn in the flesh, and he prayed and said, Lord, please take it away. He besought the Lord 3 times, asked him, please take this away. God didn't take it away. He said, my grace is sufficient for thee. You can live with this, Paul. And Paul had to go through life suffering. Even Jesus on the cross, or before he went to the cross, said, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. It may not be God's will to heal you of your suffering or pain. My good friend John Bishop in Triple S Christian Ranch in Heber Springs, Arkansas, has gone through incredible suffering. And God has used that in his life to teach him many things. He's just been such a great godly Christian. He was before, but this has really done something to him, changed him in a very positive way. The suffering has been good for him. And so if I did everything I could to get rid of the possible sources of my causing it, I'd ask God to take it away. If he didn't take it away, I'd learn to live with it. I'd probably go and have the pastor of the church, I'd ask him to anoint me with oil. The Bible says to do that. But ultimately, you might just have to learn to live with it. To say, God, okay, I'll just accept it and keep on serving you. Job, after all the problems he went through, said, Lord, I don't understand all this, but even if you slay me, I'm still going to serve you. I'm going to serve you no matter what you do to me, God. And so if you're suffering in this world and you've eliminated all the causes and you're still suffering and you prayed and they anointed you with oil, well then live with it. Keep serving God. Don't get angry about it. Because what can happen is we often get confidence in the flesh. The Bible says don't have any confidence in the flesh. Philippians chapter 3. Paul said have no confidence in the flesh. Now, in 3 John, we were told, I want you to prosper. I want you to be in health. And I think you'd be wise to understand your body and try to do what you can to be healthy. As the population of this world grows and grows and grows, it's harder and harder to feed everybody and clothe everybody and house everybody. And it's getting a little tougher these days to maintain good health and get good food supply. But I think if it's God's will most of the time for us to prosper and be in health. If you do all these things and you get good health, use it for God. I see some people, I saw a guy sitting on a tailgate of his truck one day. I was out knocking on doors, witnessing, inviting people to church, and he was sitting there on the tailgate of his truck, a massive, muscular guy, and you could tell something was bothering him, and I said, sir, what's the problem? He said, well, my wife is leaving me. I said, why? He said, well, she says I don't spend enough time with her. I said, well, sir, let me ask you a question. How much time do you spend working out at the gym? He said, oh, 3 hours a day. And it showed. I mean, he was muscular. But he lost his wife. That's not worth it. My preacher preached a whole year of sermons one time. Every sermon had the same title, different message, but tremendous messages. The title of his sermon was, They Got What They Wanted, but They Lost What They Had. Adam wanted that fruit off the tree. He got it, but he lost what he had. Many people got what they wanted and lost what they had. He went all through the Bible showing how people got what they wanted, but lost what they had. And some people work hours and hours and days and years to get good health, and they get it, but they lose their fellowship with God. They spend all their emphasis on the body. Oh, don't do that. Take care of your body. But the purpose of keeping the body going good is so you can do more for God with your life. We're going to put some interviews on here now with some nutrition experts and some chiropractors and things who are really can give you some good advice on how you can be healthy. And I recommend you listen carefully to what they have to say. But keep it all in perspective. This is only the body. You got to keep your spirit in tune with God, and your social life with your friends and neighbors. Whether you're healthy or not, you can still keep that in mind. And keep growing mentally like Jesus did in Luke 2:52. Thank you so much for joining us. Jenny, what are some things you can do to achieve good health? If a person wants to be healthy, what can they do? Give us some pointers on that, please.
Okay, I think it's wonderful that we can do something to achieve good health, and it is a choice. We can do something to change the way we feel, and the steps are really simple and logical. And basically there are three. First is to have a good positive attitude and to learn to control and minimize stress, because stress is a major cause of disease and a major factor in illness. And the Bible says it pretty simply, do not be anxious about anything. That is, it's a challenge, but we can do that. Secondly, of course, exercise is critical, adequate exercise and adequate rest along with it, especially the rest for children. Sometimes we expect our children to be healthy and they don't get enough sleep. And then the third is to make sure you do get proper nutrition. In the area of nutrition, the Bible speaks often and specifically about diet. God gave His people in Leviticus some pretty specific, precise, in fact, incredibly precise laws and rules regulating diet and cleanliness. And in Daniel, the 4 Hebrew children refused the king's rich food and had a diet of just vegetables and water, if I remember correctly, and really thrived. And I think God expects us to maintain our health by feeding our bodies appropriately. And to me, it's strange that we spend more time thinking about what we put on our bodies most of the time than what we put in our bodies, and we expect our bodies to function at full performance, sometimes with no more than a coffee and donut or a diet soda for breakfast, and many people skip meals totally and expect to think correctly and to be able to function properly. You wouldn't expect your car to run without gas, and you wouldn't, or proper maintenance with it. And I believe God could have made our bodies that would function forever without any fuel, but He didn't do that. And He set up some specific laws that have cause and effect, the sum of which we call the science of nutrition. And if we ignore those laws, we reap the consequences, usually in illness and poor health, disease, even premature death.
Are there some basic rules we can follow in order to be healthy or understand what our body needs as far as nutrition goes and things like that?
Yes, there are, and you don't have to be an expert to do it either. Again, they're simple, and the first one is to eat foods as natural, or choose foods as close to natural as possible. And we do have a choice when we go grocery shopping. We can either choose God-made foods or man-made foods, and it's pretty easy to tell the difference. The God-made foods were once alive. They either grew in the soil, or they swam in the ocean, or they walked on hoof or flew by wing, and they're usually available in the produce sections or in the meat sections, the dairy section. The man-made food are in boxes and bags throughout the center of the grocery store aisle. And an example would be a baked potato versus a boxed potato. So, if people will think, okay, when I choose my food, is it as natural or as close to natural as it could possibly be? And a second rule of thumb in that area would also be to eat foods as live as possible. Now, you might say, what are live foods? Well, cooked foods are dead foods. And anytime you heat a food to 130 degrees or more, you begin to destroy the enzymes and the vitamins. Vitamins are living, and they are destroyed by heat and oxygen and even cold. And so it's important every nutritionist agrees that you should eat from 1/3 to 2/3, or from 1/2 to 2/3 of your diet in its raw, original form. And then also you should eat foods as whole as possible. A good example of that would be an orange rather than orange juice or reconstituted orange juice. So think natural, live, and whole. Good health is not just a matter of what we get, but it's also a matter of what we don't get. So it's important in choosing our foods to avoid the poisons, not only in food, but in the water and the air too. And in foods, it's important to read labels, and there are probably more than 30,000